Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller. My co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Chase Elliott in victory lane in a thrilling finish at Kansas Speedway. A week after Toyota was out to lunch at New Hampshire, they came back with a ton of speed in Kansas. At the end, it looked like Bubba Wallace was going to get the win. Chase Briscoe was up there. Christopher Bell was up there competing for the win. Denny Hamlin had the dominant car all day, and then he had power steering issues. He was in the mix for the win at the end, but Chase Elliott goes from 8th to 1st on the final restart in yet another great Kansas finish. Now, the race itself got over 90% yes in Jeff Gluck's good race poll. Nick, do you think it deserves that for the overall race as opposed to just the finish?
No. I thought the race was fine. It wasn't a banger of a Kansas race until the very end. So, I would have given it like a C plus B minus for the race as a whole, but then the finish, the finish gets an A plus, of course.
Yeah.
So that kind of lifts it up to maybe a B minus B race for me.
Yeah, I was at about an 82. If I had to out of 100, I'd give it that.
Right there with you.
Yeah. It was, but yeah, so Toyota top 5 outside of Chase Elliott with the win, locking himself in. Kyle Larson came home 6th. Tyler Reddick was 7th. Keselowski, William Byron, 8th and 9th. And then Shane Van Gisbergen gets his first top 10 finish at an oval, coming home 10th there at the end. Couple of incidents in this race. John Hunter Nemechek gets into Zane Smith. Zane Smith goes vertical against the wall before finally flipping and ending. Of course, the race that I had to pick between, or I was picking between Zane Smith and Chase Elliott on who to take at Kansas. Chase Elliott ends up in victory lane. Zane Smith gets wrecked after a top 10 day. That car was a good top 10 car. Of course, I picked Zane Smith, and that happened, and he gets wrecked again. Another incident out of there, Carson Hocevar got fined $50,000 for spinning his tire, revving his engine as the safety crews were trying to get him towed away. So a couple things there, a couple of incidents. Team Penske had a rough day, rough weekend overall. Ryan Blaney blew a tire in practice, did not get to qualify. He charged his way through the field, actually ended up 9th in stage 2, ended up 24th when the race was over. Joey Logano also had an incident. He ended up 21st. But all these cars actually had speed. They just didn't quite get the finishes that they deserved. As did Cindric, and he looked pretty solid as well. But yeah, Chase Elliott, he locks himself into the next round. We have the Charlotte ROVAL this weekend to get the round of 12. But yeah, like for a Kansas race, I thought it was on par for what to expect. And then, viewership numbers came out again today, and once again, just not good news for the state of NASCAR.
Yeah, 1.4 something million is down, 300,000 from last year, just barely above, like I said, the IndyCar finale. If we look at that, NASCAR's during NFL season. Not irrelevant, but certainly not turning the numbers they want to be turning. And, they've started to do a whole bunch of stuff to grow the sport. They've got this new committee to connect with young people. They got a new committee to connect with the former fans. They've got supposedly some hell yeah slogan or something that I saw that's going to be, I don't think that's going to do anything, but it's a rough state. But I mean, Kansas, we got to talk about that finish because that was insane.
Yes.
And you said Chase Elliott restarted 8th. He actually restarted on the 5th row. He might have been 8th, but then chose the high lane. So he actually restarted on the 5th row. Like on the choose, maybe just trying to get the high side. He also had 4 tires, fresh tires. So that helped. But on the restart, there were 2 restarts. The first one, Tyler Reddick completely chokes and doesn't give Bubba Wallace a shove at all. Then, completely chokes. And so Bubba and Bell kind of get into each other, and there's a wreck behind them. Bubba's trying to hold off Bell and race him hard, and because he's racing for the win, and Bell's trying to lock himself in too. So, it makes sense to be racing hard, even though it's your Toyota brethren. But there's an incident, and they re-rack him. Reddick gives him a shot the second time, but he also kind of just hung back again. Like, the worst thing that could have happened for Reddick would be Bubba winning that race. So he clearly wasn't helping his own teammate. So then you have Bubba versus Bell again, and Briscoe's actually helping Bell because it doesn't, really matter to Briscoe. Again, the same thing for Briscoe. The worst thing that could happen would be Bubba winning, just like with Reddick. The worst thing that could happen would be Bubba winning. So both of those guys are not trying to help Bubba. So Briscoe's shoving the hell out of Bell, but Bubba and Bell get it side by side into the turn, just hard racing. And, if you watch the lines on the track, Bell kind of comes down, Bubba kind of comes up. It's just racing, hard racing. So then Denny gets his run. Bubba actually, I think messed up coming off of 1 and 2. He stayed low instead of pulling up high and trying to get a little extra momentum. That allowed Denny to really get a run down the back straight.
Mm-hmm.
And Denny just drives it in there hard as heck. I don't know if it was because of power steering, why he, only took the middle and then was door to door with Bubba all the way up to the wall, or if that's just the line he wanted to take. Could he have turned it down to the bottom? These are all questions I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But Denny didn't need the win. I understand he's trying to get 5 playoff points, which could be huge next round. But I think if you ask Denny Hamlin, would he rather have finished second to Bubba Wallace, or would he rather have finished second to Chase Elliott? He would have said second to Bubba Wallace. Instead, he finishes second to Chase Elliott, which is the exact worst thing that could have happened, because now it also affects his 23-11 team, in that Elliott potentially could have been in the points hunt still had he not gotten that win. He may have been only 30 points to good. A problem that Charlotte would have potentially knocked him out. And now all of a sudden Elliott's in. Bubba's even further back. He gained 1 point on the cut line, but Bubba, instead of being in, is now out and probably has to win at Charlotte, which he's not going to do. So yeah, it was, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming Denny for what he did. He wants to get those 5 playoff points too. It's just, it was literally the worst possible case scenario for Denny Hamlin and for Toyota. And Denny probably should be frustrated with himself, because he literally took what could have been an acceptable outcome, finishing second to Bubba Wallace, a very acceptable outcome for him and his team, and turned it into the worst possible outcome.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think, you can go back and analyze it, and, a Toyota should end up in victory lane. It hurts them. From a championship perspective, and from, Denny Hamlin wanting to win this championship, yeah, like, he absolutely needed to go for that win.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't blame him for doing what he did. Just, it clearly didn't work out. And maybe it would have worked out better if he had just turned it down to the bottom, of the track, and instead of shoving Bubba up into the wall, they could have raced back to the line for the win.
Yeah. And as far as like a competitiveness, like if we're determining who Denny would rather face in the championship round, or in even in the next round, I would almost argue that he'd rather face Chase Elliott with how Bubba Wallace's speed has been. So it's a very complex scenario, especially, with 3 laps. And like you said, Chase Elliott came from the 5th row. Although, I don't think anybody up there was expecting Chase Elliott to fly through there like he did. Yeah. Typically, like, I tweeted out during the race, Chase Elliott is so awful at restarts, because he is. And then, of course, when he wins, someone replies to me and says, he's not so awful, is he? I'm like, yes, you can look at one restart and he does, or one, green, white checker day and does good.
He also had 4 fresh tires, right? And everybody else in front of him didn't.
That doesn't negate from the fact overall that he's not good at restarts. And,
exactly. Everybody has a good restart. Everybody has a bad restart. He just tends to have more of the bad ones than the good ones.
And so I still, if that last restart wouldn't have happened, if that last caution wouldn't have happened, that was still the wrong call by Gustafson to get 4 tires. Are we on the same page there?
I agree. It wouldn't have been enough, but who knows? Because the way those Toyotas raced each other, it could have happened. I still think, it probably wasn't the right call without that second yellow or second restart, if you will. Mm-hmm. But Gustafson kind of just almost threw another one away, and it turned out he lucked into a win. But had those
and that's how he
Toyotas,
keeps his
had
job.
those Toyotas
you
been
know?
teammates, yeah, exactly. Had those Toyotas been teammates, working together, there's no chance that would have worked out.
Mhm. Yeah, it's it is a very, very interesting scenario there because
I'll disagree a little bit that Denny would almost rather face Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott's run really good at Martinsville, Talladega. I'd argue he's as good or better than Bubba, and Vegas, they're probably pretty equal, maybe a slight nod to Bubba. So I would say they're pretty much identical in terms of who I'd rather face. And Elliott is more consistent. He doesn't have the down spikes as much as Bubba Wallace does.
That's true. Yeah. I think at Phoenix though, I would, if Bubba would make it to the Final Four,
Yeah.
I think he'd have a chance with that 23-11 team. But
I agree.
That was a good sign for 23-11. We talked about them at Kansas last week, and how they kind of fell off at that track. It looked like they got that speed back. Reddick had those early issues on pit road. He was able to rebound. They both had good cars. Obviously, Bubba was up there challenging for the win.
Yeah, Bubba didn't love his car.
Yeah.
And they were both kind of back half top 10, early teens speed, I would say, for the race, but they, especially Reddick, he was probably closer to top 5. But look, they put themselves in the right position with the right strategies and making the car better. And like Bubba said, he didn't love the feel of his car, but it was fast, and that's sometimes what matters.
Yeah, and like I said, Hamlin was the dominant car all day. He led 159 laps before that power steering issue. Another one of those issues where, I feel like Denny Hamlin constantly gets in this scenario where he has a major issue, but it's not major enough to completely derail his day.
Yeah.
Like the number of times that this happens with him just blows my mind. Oh, he has power steering issues, but he's still fine. He's running second. A lot of other drivers, those things happening are absolute killers to their days.
Can we just add one more race, Kansas, now to the track history? Hasn't kind of mattered as much. Like Larson dominated Kansas earlier this year. He was just
one lap this race.
He was like a 4th or 5th place car. Brad Keselowski was probably going to win Kansas earlier this year until the tire failure. He was irrelevant. I mean, he finished 8th, but a lot of that was late race stuff. SVG was fast, and he was not fast earlier this year at Kansas. Like, we're getting bizarro world track history in the last few weeks, where track history hasn't quite meant as much. And Kansas is just another race where that kind of came true.
Do you think this is just competition evening out, or is this the big teams getting big team speed? We talked about,
I don't know, because last week, like you said, Toyota didn't have the speed, and now they do have the speed. And Hendrick one week will have speed, and then the next week they won't. It is bizarro world right now in terms of trying to figure out which team is going to be fast where, right? Like Blaney was fast at Kansas earlier this year. Yeah, he's fast this weekend, but not as fast as he was earlier this year, and having to come from the back and all that. Very weird race. And as much as I was super hyped about practice flags, because practice flags in Kansas 1 was awesome, flags was just like meh this weekend in Kansas.
That's another guy that was great in flags this week was William Byron, and that team was awful.
Yeah,
the fact that he finished 9th was a miracle.
Yeah, I couldn't understand what happened, because he even said after practice he loved his car.
Yeah, it was.
Austin Cindric too looked really good in flags, really good in fall off score. Bubba Wallace said Austin Cindric looked great in practice, and he was just like straight backward. I mean, well, he started in the 20s, but never got forward. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that was just it. It's been such a weird playoffs, and it makes me excited, but it's also frustrating at the same time.
Yeah, Betting is a little hard right now. I had my worst week since before Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, in terms of betting, I was minus 3 point something units, which I've had I think 2 negative weeks since Memorial Day weekend, or 2. I think I might have had like a minus 0.05 or something like that. But like 2 actual real negative weeks since Memorial Day weekend. This was the second one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been tough, and I have not bet much, but what I have bet, I'm not hitting. Like I had Bowman top 10 here at Kansas this last weekend, and just he got hit into the wall, and I think SVG put him into the wall. But it's just been, man. At least it's we're getting fun stuff to watch. Like it's a lot easier to not be mad at losing bets when you get a finish like that, because that was such a fucking exciting finish.
It really was. It was cool. I honestly, I wish Bubba had won that race, just because if you look at like the stats overall this season, he's a top 8 driver. So it'd be nice to see him in the round of 8. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen now.
No, it's going to take quite a bit for him to make it. Another solid finish for Chase Briscoe. I am sticking to my guns. I think Chase Briscoe is going to be the champion this year. That team is just running so well.
Like I said, I had him in my Final Four. If he makes it to the Final Four, I'll be betting him as a little bit of a hedge to Bell, assuming Bell makes the Final Four. Because I have a very large bet on Christopher Bell to win the title.
Yeah. Since the Mexico City race, so the last 15 races, Chase Briscoe average finish of 10th, which is series best, average driver rating of 101.7, series best, 10 top 10s, best in the series, tied with Ryan Blaney, 8 top 5s, best in the series. And a big part of them, his success is how good they are at qualifying.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another pole.
But all right, here's a little trivia question for you. So Chase Briscoe is the best in those categories since Mexico City, 15 races ago. Ryan Blaney's second in average finish, 11.4. Guess who's third?
I don't know.
Chris Buescher.
Wow.
So average finish over the last 15 races, it goes Briscoe, Blaney, Buescher, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick. You hear a guy we're not talking about? 12th best, Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
14th best, William Byron.
Wow. It's wild.
Yeah, that's not a few weeks. That's what, 4 months?
Yeah. Holy moly.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's wild that Kyle Larson has the most points right now. Yes, Blaney and Elliott are locked in, but just in terms of raw points, Kyle Larson has the most right now because he hasn't really done anything. He's finished 7th in New Hampshire, 6th at Kansas. Just mediocre runs, but he has the most points because he got a whole bunch early in the season from stage wins and 3 regular season wins as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one driver I was definitely surprised at. He was top 3 for most of the day, slid back there at the end a little bit, but man. Yeah, like you said, a weird time in NASCAR right now.
Yeah.
But we are 2 races into the round of 12. You got anything else from Kansas before we talk about these playoff standings?
I'll say this. I would have had a good betting week if Denny Hamlin had won, which he almost did, and he was the dominant car. And Zane Smith got that top 10, which he was running top 10 for a lot of the last portion of that race. Obviously had the crash there. Yeah, obviously had the crash there with John Hunter Nemechek, who took full blame for it, to his credit. Said he made a mistake and he needs to learn from that. It wasn't acceptable. So credit to John Hunter Nemechek there for that. But yeah, a pretty interesting crash there for Zane Smith. We've seen a few of those wall rides in NASCAR and even one in IndyCar. So, those look a lot more scary than they are because all you're doing is just riding, right? Like it's kind of like a roller coaster in a way. But the flips are the more scary part because he did have a handful of flips when he came off that wall there. But glad everybody's okay. But that's about all I have for Kansas.
I don't know if his mic cut out or what, but after he did flip, they were like, "Hey, are you okay?" And it was silence, and I was like, watching that, you're like, "Oh shit!" Like, did something actually happen? Because the flips didn't look awful, and I think what they attributed to, like the radio just went out or something. But yeah, that still would be wild, like being up like that against the wall, still going 120 miles an hour. Just
I mean, it's definitely like a crazy fast roller coaster or something.
Yeah.
But yeah. Glad he's all right. And glad he showed the speed that at least one of those flags popping drivers did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kansas, it's a note for next year. Kansas is a really good track for Zane Smith. He loves that track.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows how to race it.
Yeah.
But as far as the playoffs go, okay, Ryan Blaney won at New Hampshire. Chase Elliott won at Kansas. So those two are locked into the next round. Kyle Larson is 54 to the good. Denny Hamlin's 48. Christopher Bell's 44. And William Byron is 40 points to the good. They're probably solidly into the next round. So we have 6 of the 8 determined. This is where it kind of gets interesting. Chase Briscoe is plus 21. Joey Logano right now is plus 13 heading into the Charlotte Roval. Ross Chastain minus 13 from the cut line. Bubba Wallace 26 back. Tyler Reddick 29 back. And Austin Cindric pretty much in must-win situation if he wants to advance. He's 48 back. We're at a road course this week, Charlotte Roval. That means SVG is the heavy favorite. The chances of someone else winning is probably going to rely on him having a major issue. Where it gets interesting, though, are these stage points and these strategies that these guys like Joey Logano, who isn't the best on road courses, could take to get stage points with these caution breaks and the points that they'll get for these playoffs. But like I said, top 6 right now, Byron, Bell, Hamlin, Larson, Blaney, and Elliott are probably good. Elliott and Blaney definitely good.
Yeah.
Do you see, outside of Briscoe having an issue or Logano having an issue, do we think that the current top 8 are the ones that are going to advance after this weekend?
No. I think Ross gets Joey.
I could definitely see Ross dumping Joey too.
Yeah,
to get in.
That too. He's been a better road course racer in the next gen era. Let's just say that.
What about Briscoe? Any concern about Briscoe?
No, because he's probably going to qualify like second or first or third or fourth or fifth or whatever, and just grab all the stage points he needs in stage 1. Grab stage points in stage 2, and then it doesn't matter where he finishes after that, essentially, as long as he doesn't have a major incident.
Now, I will note, and this is before joining Joe Gibbs Racing, but this has not been a good track for Chase Briscoe. He did finish 9th here in 2022, but his other finishes are all outside the top 20. But we've said that about a lot of tracks.
I'll say this. Stuart Haas wasn't really good at this track.
Or at road courses at all.
Yeah, plus they have intermediate issues, and you are still using part of the Roval, albeit not at like its most top speeds, but they weren't great on intermediates as well, and you can't completely discount that. But Chase Briscoe's been like the second best road course racer this year, arguably, after SVG. So I'm not worried about him. I think he's going to have a fantastic speed car. It just is a matter of, does he get caught up in some of these messes that could happen, especially with the kind of more hairpin turn now that they reshaped the Roval to last year.
Mm-hmm. One guy who has been pretty good at the Charlotte Roval, and obviously we're seeing less and less of track history making a difference, but it's still noteworthy, is Joey Logano. 7 races here. He has 6 top 10s and a lot of top 5 finishes in stages. So Logano, I think it's going to be, hopefully they, like, let's be honest, this is probably going to be another SVG domination race. It is what it is with the road courses right now. We'll call that.
Yeah.
Hopefully they focus a lot on Logano and Chastain here, because the 13-point gap is going to be a very good storyline for the defending champion, who, like I said, I think if Logano makes it to Phoenix, if Blaney makes it to Phoenix, I think they're the people to beat versus Ross Chastain.
Mm-hmm.
And or, Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick could potentially get up there if something major happens.
Yeah.
But as you said last week, I think Reddick's fallen off quite a bit at road courses. And, being 29 points back, he's probably going to have to win to kind of leapfrog these guys.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Reddick, Bubba, and Cindric probably, definitely Cindric, but probably Reddick and Bubba need a win to get in. There's scenarios they could point in, but it's not likely. Reddick more likely than Bubba. But this is, when this round started, I said I thought Reddick was going to be out, and now he needs to win to get in. This wasn't a good round for him in terms of the tracks, especially with 2311's more recent Kansas issues. And again, he wasn't a top 5 car at Kansas. He was a borderline, let's say, top 5 car. But that wasn't good enough after a 21st at New Hampshire, where Toyota was horrible at New Hampshire. So yeah, I think it comes down to Bubba, Reddick, and Cindric need to win. But Ross Chastain, this is interesting because he's SVG's teammate.
Yep.
The best thing for Trackhouse is not an SVG win. It's getting Ross to the next round. So it should be all hands on deck for Ross, including his teammate SVG, helping him in any way that he can. Now, can he in certain ways? Maybe, maybe not. It depends how the race plays out, how strategy plays out. But it should be all hands on deck for Ross if you're Trackhouse. Like, that's just what it has to be.
Speaking of Ross, I saw an interesting stat. I had to confirm it here while you were talking. He has one finish better than 10th since Michigan in June. And that was 9th at New Hampshire.
Yep.
But he has he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finishes of 10th or 11th.
Yeah, exactly.
In the last,
he's been right borderline top 10 in a lot of races.
In the last 9 races. That's wild.
And like Daytona, he finished 15th, but that's Daytona, but he still won a stage there, So he hasn't been horrible. He's just been a 10th place car. He's 9th in the standings. He's been a 10th place, 11th place car.
That's an interesting point though, because like you said, Trackhouse, it's going to be, the focus is going to be on getting Chastain into the next round. But how do you think is there ways to do that? Obviously SVG's sharing or should be sharing some expertise with these guys to at least Chastain. I don't think he's going to be sharing anything with Suarez, but even I just don't know how much he'd be able to help,
Well, it's not so much SVG helping; it's just the attention, the detail, the pre-week planning, and just the effort that goes into preparing and building that car. What chassis does he get? All that kind of stuff, right? We used to talk about this magic Trackhouse chassis.
Yeah,
this one car. That kind of stuff. Like, is he just going to have the best Trackhouse car? Now, SVG will have the most talent, but is Ross going to get the best Trackhouse car for this race? You have to think so.
Yeah. I mean, that would make the most sense. Outside of Ike, I mean, I would assume it's more lucrative for them to get to the next round of the playoffs and not as opposed to the individual race win. I don't know what it does to owners' points if SVG gets another win. Yeah. Stuff like that. But
yeah, I mean, SVG is still the owner spot there. I mean, they're still eliminated from the playoffs and the owners for the 88 car. So yeah, I mean, Ross has a chance to not just get the drivers, but the owners side of Trackhouse into the round of 8 as well. So yeah, it has to be all hands on deck for Ross if you're Trackhouse. Which makes things interesting, because if there's even just enough distraction from SVG on that team. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves on the ROVAL, but like, that could open up some stuff as far as the race betting goes. But yeah, we're talking playoff standings, so I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself there.
Right. Let's see here. Do you have anything else for playoff standings?
No, the only other thing I have is overall point standings. Busher is 72 points to the good on Ryan Preece for that 17th spot, which gets an extra bonus as the top non-playoff driver. So I only say that because it's going to matter for this weekend, I think.
And why?
Busher doesn't need the points race to preserve that 17th place spot.
Okay. So you're saying Busher's just going to be going out?
He's just going to be going out all out win strategy.
Yeah.
Which he probably would anyway, but like it removes that as a potential distraction point, or a points racing point.
Mm-hmm. Which I think I saw earlier that you bet him top 10 already.
Yep. Plus 120 at 365 and Hard Rock.
There we go. Yeah. Anytime you can get Chris Busher plus money for a top 10 at a road course,
especially when he's going to be on the optimal strategy, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing if he has the points race, when it's like kind of halfway through the season and we're at Glen or at Mexico City or Chicago and Sonoma and he has to think about points. It's another thing when we know he's just going to be only racing for the win.
I just speaking of Busher, I just talked about him over the last 15 races and his average finish.
Yep.
He has as many top 10 finishes this year as William Byron.
Mm-hmm.
Man. That's like the sneakiest.
I saw that top 10 tweet earlier. I think it was, I saw one an hour or two ago, which is another why I was saying like, it's a shame that Bubba is probably going to be eliminated because he has like a top 3 or 4 top 10s this year.
Yeah, he's at 13.
Yeah.
8 DNFs leading the way. Bubba Wallace. That's a
top 10 or bust.
Yeah. I mean, that's even more than Hocevar. Hocevar's at 7.
The kid who can't stay out of his own way.
Though. Yeah, Suarez and Cody Ware at 9.
Hocevar got fined $50,000 for being an idiot.
So I maybe there's more footage, but I didn't see what he did wrong.
He revved up his engine and spun his tires as the safety crew people were there.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that could be dangerous. I mean, look at what Tony Stewart did on a dirt track a handful of years ago, a decade ago.
I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet from somebody, I think it was Gluck, that said, anytime safety crews around and anything that's even close to the line gets immediate $50,000.
You can't put people's lives in danger, even if you don't think it's that dangerous, because things happen. What if when you did that, your tire popped and you lost control of the car?
Yeah.
That's just not something you do. And he keeps doing dumb shit. It's nonstop with this kid. I cannot stand him. And he continues to be an idiot. There is no world in which that is acceptable. And I understand he was frustrated. He thought his car was fine. He wanted to get back out there, but the rules are the rules. And if safety crew members are there, you just can't do that. You just can't.
How would you rank his antics like this against, early Kyle Busch and the stuff he used to do? Remember where he would go flying down pit road at 100 miles an hour when he was pissed off.
Yeah.
Or backwards.
Kyle's was more dramatic. But I don't ever recall Kyle doing it with people right there, Yeah,
I don't remember Busch getting fined like Hocevar has.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably about equal. Because what Kyle did was unsafe, though some of those things. But it was with people further away. But also just Kyle has admitted he's made some right rear hooks, like Ron Hornaday, for example, in the Truck Series, and he said that always should be a suspension. and Hocevar has done a ton of those and hasn't gotten suspended for any of them. So yeah, I mean, the antics that's not safe, right? Right rear hooking somebody into the outside wall means they're going head on or near head on into that wall. That's like the least safe way you can hit. Just, yeah, I know we're getting away from championship talk and Charlotte talk, but you mentioned Carson Hocevar, so I had to just get on my Luvabella whine about him because just what a
I think you're pretty fed up with him.
He continues to be an immature moron. That's all I have. I'm done with that.
Yeah, he's
presented by Luvabella Wines. Get the purple. It's amazing.
Yes, he has not shown any sign of improvement.
No.
All right. On to the Roval. Okay. SVG did race in this race last year. He started on the pole. He led, I think, 21 laps. Got spun late in the race. Rallied back to finish 7th. And who ended up winning that race? Yeah, led 21 laps, finished 7th. It was Larson that ended up winning it. Christopher Bell finished 2nd. Larson led 62 laps that day. Cindric, who we talked about before in must-win situation, he finished 4th last year. Hendrick, 3 of the top 5, though. Byron finished 3rd. Chase Elliott finished 5th. This is a really good track for Chase Elliott. He has 2 wins here. AJ Allmendinger, really good track for him. Obviously, he's not in playoff contention. But as I said, SVG, the favorite this weekend. Straight up, do you think he's beatable?
Yes. Absolutely. I think this is a spot to beat him, but I also think he's going to be incredibly strong.
So do you think it's a spot to beat him? Why?
Multiple reasons.
Because it's later in the season, people are catching up because drivers have raced at this Charlotte Roval before.
Yeah, some of that. Again, some of the attention being on Ross from this team. But also just the strength of some of these drivers here. Like you said, many of them have raced here many times at this point. But you also have, again, this is, and this does, I wouldn't say it necessarily hurts SVG, but because of, he just finished 10th at Kansas or whatever it was. But there is still a little bit of mile and a halfness in this. It's not as the speeds or at the handlings that we'd have it, but you still have to have the aerodynamics, and the oval part of this isn't non-zero oval, right? So there's that little tiny bit as well. But I would say ratio, it's 95% road course, 5%. I wouldn't even say an intermediate oval, but just kind of oval-ish. But there's still something to that as far as these cars, setups, etc., engines, which teams and drivers perform best on intermediate or other ovals, let's say, because you're not hitting the same speeds. So there's a little bit of that. And I'm just going to say it. I think AJ Allmendinger, it might pip SVG here on pure speed. Last year, AJ Allmendinger he was in the part-time Colleague car, the 3rd Colleague car here in this race. He wasn't running the full season. And SVG was in the de facto number 1 Colleague car because, you're not giving it to whoever the other Colleague driver was last year. I forget. Was it Hemrick? So AJ Allmendinger hated his car here last year. I remember after practice qualifying, man, we're terrible. And I'm just doing what I can to get. If AJ Allmendinger has a car he loves, and with how good Colleague has run on the intermediate tracks this year overall, I know AJ Allmendinger finished 36, but they've had some good intermediate track runs this year. Add in his road course prowess, add in his Roval prowess, where he literally just dominates in the Xfinity Series. And then in the Cup Series, he's got a win here. A 4th, and like I said, a 6th in the 3rd Colleague car last year in a car he hated. I just think there's a chance Allmendinger can straight up beat SVG. So I'm going to do it right now. He is 17-1 at FanDuel. I'm going to bet and track him on the Action app. I'm going to bet him.
I was just about to ask you that.
And track him in the Action app at 17-1. I was saving it for this podcast because Stevie gave him out top 5 on Running Hot, but I was saving this for this podcast so I could track it here. But yeah, I already bet him actually, so I don't even need to go in and bet him. But stacking Dennys is the pick note. AJ Allmendinger to win 17-1 at FanDuel.
There we go.
So yeah, I'm all aboard AJ Allmendinger train this week. I'm all aboard Chase Elliott train. Chase Elliott, the dude is freed from the shackles of having to points race this weekend. He can, what the hell? Get some random Google whatever AI bot thing. He is freed from the shackles of having to points race. And we know Chase Elliott is a great road course racer. It's not quite been the same in the next gen era, but he's still damn good. And look, he has 3 top 4 finishes this year on road courses in 5 races. Like, SVG is going to have competition, and he may not be the primary focus of his own team. There's potential here for an upset. He should absolutely be the even money favorite, but there's potential here for an upset.
I'm with you there on Allmendinger. He's sitting at like you said, 17-1 to win on FanDuel like that. I like the speed that 16 team has, not just at road courses, because obviously he's going to have speed at road courses, but overall all season, that car is like borderline top 10 almost every week, which last year we were talking about Colleague being an absolute back marker to this. So huge improvement there. I'm going to join you on 17-1 on FanDuel, but I'm also going to hit him top 5.
Yeah,
as you said, Stevie did as well. 2-1 on DraftKings. I'm going to hit
2-1 earlier at Bet365 and Hard Rock. It's still 2-1 on DraftKings. I'm looking at his top 3 odds. Plus 430 at FanDuel, plus 425 at Bet365. But I want in on that top 3 as well. 5-1 at DK for top 3.
That's solid.
All right. Well, I'm in for 0.2 units on AJ Allmendinger, top 3 at DraftKings. Let me just double check and make sure. Pulling it up right now. Betting it myself. Got to keep switching apps. I just checked the Action app. It said 5-1, but you never know if it's moved. Top 3 AJ Allmendinger. View more. 5-1. All right, I'm betting it right now. Done. And tracking in the Action app.
Isn't it funny how, what was it, about 30 minutes ago, we were both saying how difficult it's been to bet lately, but we're sitting here, we're both literally putting in bets as we're recording this episode.
Yep. But it's a spot to feel very strong about, and AJ Allmendinger only has one goal: win this race. And Stevie was saying on Running Hot, Stevie TPFL, Steven Young from Roto Grinders, there's rumors of AJ Allmendinger retiring after this season. What better way to go out than
is there really
win the ROVAL and announce your retirement? Now, I thought he had signed on for next year, which is why I was confused when he said that. But I'm not going to not trust Stevie. He's NASCAR media and he's in the know sometimes. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I haven't seen those, but I don't know if I'd be surprised if he did.
He's 43, right? Like,
yeah,
he's not a young dude. No, he doesn't. So we'll see. But I don't really care about the retirement angle. It's just another thing. But AJ Allmendinger is now going to be in the top Colleague car at a track he has been amazing
at. His best track, for sure.
Exactly. At his number 1 best track in a race where SVG might be the number 2 Trackhouse car. Not driver, but car.
All right. So we talked about AJ Allmendinger, talked about Chase Elliott. Are those your two favorites that could potentially dethrone SVG this weekend? Or is someone like a Christopher Bell in play as well?
I mean, somebody like a Bell is absolutely in play because what he can do is stage 1, see if he's locked in, and then if he is, he can go for the win, so he can flip stages in stage 2 and essentially be right back with the leaders, from that aspect. So yes and no. And actually, I wanted to, do you have average finish during the playoffs? Because I think Christopher Bell has to be number 2 after Chase Briscoe, right?
I don't have average finish for the playoffs
For just the last 5 races. Yeah. Because he's finished 1st, 3rd, 6th, 7th, and then the 29th at Darlington. So 4 top 7 finishes and then 1 bad race. Whereas, Byron only has 1 top 8 finish. If you look at Joey Logano, he has a 5th, 5th, 4th, but then a 20th and a 21st. So I'm guessing Christopher Bell has the 2nd best average finish in the playoffs. And that's why I liked him for the title, because he was going to be good everywhere. He was good at Darlington. Just remember, he had a pit road incident. He was running inside the top 10, near the top 5, I think it was, and had the pit road incident, had a strong car. He's good everywhere. The big problem will be for him, Talladega, but I think he can overcome it with Vegas and Martinsville for sure. And I mean, Talladega's Talladega, anything can happen. He's been at the front of a lot of these super speedway races late this year. So that's why I liked him. And yes, he can contend at the Roval. It just depends on what strategy he takes.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, so I just have FanDuel pulled up for championship odds. Bell's at 5-1. I know you bet him heavy at 6.5-1,
and then
6.
8-1 again.
Yeah, call me crazy, but Briscoe at 14-1.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even hate Logano at 14-1.
I far prefer Chase Briscoe at 14-1.
I definitely prefer Chase Briscoe, but I don't hate either of them. You know what I mean? Briscoe, especially. Man. I hate getting ahead of myself and I hate getting too excited and over betting everything, but it's hard for me right now not to bet Chase Briscoe to win championship again. I already have 1 ticket. Remember, I made a mistake. I think it was during the Richmond race. I live bet his championship odds instead of his race odds, and end up I have a 30-1 ticket on Briscoe to win the championship. But I still like
I'm right there with you on Briscoe. I could get behind 14-1 for sure. I was looking at Bet365 to see if they'd make next round. They don't, but because always the optimal way to play these is to roll them over if you're not limited at at the books. So I like Chase Briscoe at 14 way more than I like Joey Logano at 14.
Mm-hmm. You know me though, I'm still on the I still think Penske's going to somehow do this. But so Blaney, according to FanDuel, Blaney the favorite at plus 330. I don't think I'm not on that at all.
375 at Bet365.
Yeah.
Not there. Yeah, not there.
I still think, I don't know. I think Bell should be the favorite.
Blaney and Bell. If you think New Hampshire matters for Phoenix, probably should be Blaney. But I still think Phoenix is its own beast from New Hampshire, and Bell has been the class of Phoenix since the Toyota new body start of last year, and the Ford new body started last year. When you aggregate the 3 races as a whole,
right? So I'm on Bet Rivers right now. Qualifying for this weekend, SVG is the favorite at minus 186.
Yeah, he should be, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, like you said, he won the pole last year, and now he's even better this year. So,
I'll tell you what, though, if remember last year's championship race, while we're on the topic of Blaney versus Bell being the favorite, Bell was not in the championship race, yet he still led the most laps. And now imagine if he has the full attention of his team behind him, because Toyota had all their resources behind Tyler Reddick last year.
Yeah, you remember that race. He led the most laps, and then I think they had some issue on pit road or something to where I was fully convinced that they just gave up. Like, he was like, okay, I lost the lead. I'm not going to push it and try to win this race because I don't want to fuck anybody else up. Mm-hmm. And I think I honestly believe that's the reason Bell didn't win that race.
I agree. But that's my point, is like, he didn't even have the full resources of Toyota behind him and still was the best car. He was absolutely the best car at first Phoenix race last year. And he won and was the best car at first Phoenix race this year. So, like, I think 3 out of 3, he's been the best car at Phoenix. It's just a matter of, if you think New Hampshire is indicative of Phoenix, and I don't, but some people do, then maybe that's why Blaney should be the favorite. Plus, Blaney's also locked into the next round, technically, where Bell isn't. So if there's some 1% chance he doesn't make it through, that matters.
Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, I'm with you there on Bell. One driver that has been very good at the Charlotte ROVAL, who has had a god-awful season. I bet I keep forgetting that I have his I have a ticket out there season long. Kyle Busch under 2.5 wins. That's 1.5 wins.
Freebie.
Yeah, 1.5 wins.
He's only going to potentially win Talladega.
Yeah, he has finished top 4 here at Charlotte ROVAL 3 of the last 4 races, but that team is not anywhere near.
And they're having a crew chief change now.
Yeah. They're bad. That is not a good organization right now. They've somehow taken an even step further back than they were.
Yeah. Aside from Austin Dillon's, win at the track, he always seems to be able to be a top contender. Yeah, they haven't been very good as an organization. And you kind of just have to think some of it's the age factor. I mean, Kyle Busch is 40. Some drivers, like Denny Hamlin, can go 44, 45, like Harvick, but some drivers hit the age wall at 38. It is different for each driver, and Kyle has made a lot of mistakes this year. It's like, not only is he not happy with his cars, but then I don't know if he's pressing too hard or if he's given up and making mistakes because of carelessness or what, but it seems like Father Time is affecting him a little bit. And maybe it's just mentally because of the situation he's in, but he's been making mistakes too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Like you said, there's always a drop off at a certain age. And you'd think that, someone that as talented as Kyle Busch was early in his career, that he'd have a longer career, but I definitely don't think that the cars at RCR are helping him by any means. But
no,
also,
for sure
Kyle Busch is also the type of driver where if he doesn't have a good car, he's not gonna, stick through it and try to just marginally improve throughout the race. He's gonna throw his hands up and run 35th, like we saw him do at Kansas.
Get frustrated and give up essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hope Front Row Motorsports doesn't win at Talladega, because I have their under half win at plus money from preseason. So when you were talking preseason bets, that made me think of Front Row. I have under half a win. I think it was plus 115 at Caesars preseason. So as long as they don't win Talladega, I'm feeling pretty good about that one.
There we go. Who else you want to talk about?
I should bet each of them 0.1 unit at Talladega, right?
Right, exactly.
Lock in some profit.
Who you want to talk about for ROVAL? Who else?
It's always the same guys, right? Like, you have your road course drivers that we know Austin Cindric is going to be going on the winning strategy. That's all he has to do is win. we've talked to Chris Buescher, but like, Ty Gibbs is a road course racer, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, AJ Allmendinger, those kinds of guys. Those are names that are just always going to pop up at road courses, and they all are going to probably be on the winning strategy because they all are not in a points spot here. They're all in what the hell else do we have to do but win spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ty Gibbs has a 4th place finish here. McDowell hasn't had any good finishes here. He finished 15th last year. That's his. Or he did finish 12th in 2019.
Yeah.
So I'll give him that. But yeah, he hasn't been that great. Let me see here. Bubba Wallace has been decent here. Like we said, he's probably going to need to win if he wants to make it to the next round. He finished 9th last year, 7th in 2022. But this has always been, I feel like, one of, if not the best road course for Bubba Wallace.
Yep.
Again, I don't think he's going to win this race, but this has been a decent track for him considering how awful he used to be at road courses.
I'll throw out one other kind of sleeper. Not for the win, but Brad Keselowski, if you remember the very first Roval race, he and Kyle Larson were battling for the lead on a restart when the whole field just plowed into the wall.
Oh, yeah, that was the oil race.
Yeah. And then the next year he finished 5th.
Mm-hmm.
If he can recapture some of that, we know he's going to be in the optimal strategy. I don't hate 5-1 for a top 10 finish at Caesars, and I need to check like ESPN and Bet365 and stuff because that doesn't get pulled into the action app because of API deals and stuff. 450 at 365. But yeah, 5-1 at Caesars is pretty intriguing on Brad Keselowski.
This will be what, the 5th road course race of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had Coda.
It'll be the 6th. We had 5. We had 5.
Okay.
This will be 6th.
So yeah, Bell won Coda, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. And then SVG won the other 4.
Yeah. Which track do you think is most similar to the Roval?
Maybe Watkins Glen, just because some of the hilly can kind of represent some of the banky parts and the speed parts. I don't know, but Glen has much faster corners other than the bus stop. And even that's kind of fast because you're just kind of darting in and out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't really think
there's really not a good one, right?
No.
I mean, it used to be Indy Road Course. Those two were Indy Road Course and Charlotte Road Course used to be the good comps.
And we had the Daytona one for a couple years there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He finished
Bell one.
Brad Keselowski finished 5th at the Daytona Road Course in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And 13th in 2020, the 2 years we had it. Indy was so much different though than in my opinion, than the Roval, because the Indy Road Course, while it had
such a shit show the first 2 years.
Well, yeah, we had the exploding curbs, but also just it's flat. Like even the banking and the turns and stuff is flat, and you don't really use the turns. Like you get onto the short chute between turns 1 and 2, then you get off of it, then use the long straightaway, then you turn off the long straightaway. So you're never actually using the corners. Whereas in the Charlotte Roval, you're using the corners in both sets of the track. So it to me seemed less like I actually didn't think they were great comps for each other. I think the Daytona Roval is a good comp for the Charlotte Roval for obvious reasons. So yeah, I kind of like Brad Keselowski 5-1 for a top 10. I don't love it, but I kind of like it.
I didn't even look at, when we go to, speaking of top tens, I always like betting like Todd Gilliland top 10. I didn't even see what his odds were.
That's a good question. 15-1. All right.
Don't hate that. Don't hate that at all.
You kind of almost have to.
Where's he 15 at? Because I'm seeing 12 at FanDuel.
Caesars.
Okay.
Let me pull up Todd Gilliland here. His stats. Finished 18th at the ROVAL last year, 23rd the year before that in a Rick Ware car, and 30th the year before that. Let's see. He hasn't raced it in any other series. Nope. Trucks don't race there, and he didn't run an Xfinity there at all. Yeah, I don't know. Gilliland's interesting. He's not been running great, but he did just have a good Kansas run. And a good, 19th at New Hampshire isn't amazing, but not bad.
Trying to see. I always like looking at some of those longer shot guys.
Cole Custer finished 9th at the ROVAL in 2020, 13th at Daytona Road Course in 2021.
I feel like he just had a good run, or he had a fast car at a recent one too, and I think he had an issue.
Yeah, I mean, he was top 4 at Mexico City.
Yeah, 8th in Mexico City.
Second in the ROVAL and Xfinity in 2023. I could get behind Custer and Gill and Sprinkles. Both 15-1 at Caesars. I'm just going to check 365.
It's fascinating that Caesars has longer odds on these guys' top 10s than FanDuel does. Usually FanDuel's the,
Yeah. They're both 14 at Bet365 as well. And at ESPN they are 14 and for Gill and 12 for Custer.
Mm-hmm. So over the last, or in the next gen era at road courses, as far as lower tier guys, Gillen has 5 top 10s in 22 races at road courses.
5 and 22. It's almost 25%,
Yeah.
Not quite. 22.7%. 22.727.
Here's a stat for, there we go. Kyle Kirkwood. Here's a stat for you. Top 10s at road courses in the next gen era. Todd Gilliland has 5. Ryan Blaney has 7, as does Kyle Larson.
All right. I'm betting Todd Gilliland and I'm betting Cole Custer reluctantly to finish top 10 each. 15-1 at Caesars, 14-1 at Bet365. I'm just checking these other books. 14-1 for both at Hard Rock as well. So yeah, I'm in at 15-1 for those guys. Little sprinkles. Fun.
You know who else only has 5 top 10s at road courses in the next gen era? Now, 5 less starts, but Truex only had 5 and 17 starts.
Wow.
I can't believe Larson only has 7. Cindric has more top 10s at road courses in next gen era than Kyle Larson.
Yeah. I'm just checking every possible thing here. Yep, 15-15. All right. Jordan, I hate you for bringing those up.
Hey, I'm just looking at the numbers.
I agree with you. I have to do it with Cole Custer too. I know Gillen's the better one, but Custer's had success on this type of track. Of these specific road courses, this has been a good type for him. The big ROVAL like Daytona and Charlotte. Damn it. So dirty. So dirty.
Fun stuff. All right, you got anything else for the ROVAL?
I just typed in the Action Network Discord. I feel disgusting for tracking those last two.
That's fine.
Do I have anything else for the ROVAL? No, I don't.
All right. On to picks to win. I'll tell you what. All right. We both have 4 wins this year, or wins picked this year. Average finish wise, I have overtaken you, I think, for the first time all season.
I think so.
You are at 12.87. I am at 12.84.
Whoa.
I had Bell last week who finished 3rd, and you had Chris Buescher who finished 15th.
Rough.
Yep.
I think I've taken a little bit overall riskier profile than you with like picking
Absolutely,
Buescher, for example.
Yep.
I think I took Carson Hocevar for a win, not at a super speedway.
Indianapolis. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you've definitely taken, you had Hocevar at Indy, you had Buescher last week. Let me see here. Chastain at Dover.
How'd those work out for me? Not so good.
Not good. Not good. No.
33rd for Chastain at Dover. Like you said, Buescher was in the 15th. And when I took Hocevar at Indy, he finished 10th. Respectable.
Mm-hmm. All right, my turn to go first. I gotta go SVG. Now the question is whether you want to be different or you want to go the same.
I gotta go SVG.
Yep, he's too good.
Yeah, there's no.
I thought about
as much as I talked about, could he be upset? Yes, he's still the fucking crazy heavy favorite
by far. Like, yes. It's going to take quite a bit for SVG to not win this race, but
it could take one bad pit stop. It could take a little parts failure.
I mean, he spun out last year, and we saw that happen. So, all right, 36 for 36. Mentioned me not taking Chase Elliott last week, which sucks, irritates me, but I had Zane Smith. You had Daniel Suarez. You got 20 points out of Suarez. That's not awful.
I'm pleased with that. Yeah.
My turn to go first. Charlotte ROVAL. I had this one marked in already. AJ Allmendinger.
I'm 108 points back with 5 races left.
Allmendinger's blown an engine here before.
Yeah. Win Byron.
Interesting. Byron. I like it. I'm curious, where are you going to use? You plan on using Allmendinger at Martinsville?
We'll see. Honestly, maybe Talladega. I have no idea.
That's awesome.
I mean, I have to try to come back. I have to shake the bag a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Hope for a lucky dice roll.
Hey, all you
Of course,
need
I also
is,
want AJ Allmendinger to win. So
yeah, you're hedging against yourself in a way.
exactly.
I do that all the time, especially with the Vikings. I like betting against them.
Yeah.
Man, they looked awful once again last weekend. I know they had that really good game. Not to go off on a tangent here, but they had that really good game against the Bengals where I feel like everything went right for them. But overall, they are not a good team. They are so bad. And I'm very critical with them, but man, they are bad.
They're lucky this week in that they have the travel advantage versus the Browns since they're staying in Europe and the Browns are now flying to Europe. So that's helpful, but I think the game's gonna be ugly as hell. Like
just a bad football game.
28 is ugly. Like take the under 36.5.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, take the under 43.5 on the Eagles Broncos. I love the under in this one. It is screaming undervalue in my model. Last week, the Eagles gave up 25 points, but I know we're an NASCAR podcast. Sometimes go on an IndyCar tangent, but let me just talk this one. Last week, the Eagles gave up 25 points, but one of them, 2 points were an intentional safety. They intentionally took a safety. So that's down to 23. They gave up 2 touchdowns of over 70 yards, yet the Eagles rank number 3 in explosive play rate prevented on defense. So those were 2 of the explosive plays they allowed that happened to go for touchdowns. So that's unlikely to be sustainable. And the Tampa Bay kicker made a 58 and a record-setting 65-yard field goal in a non-altitude outdoor game. That's not a sustainable way to give up points. They would have given up 3 points if those other things didn't happen. 3 to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense that has a lot of injuries on their offensive line, but have performed like a mid-pack offense this year. The other teams Philly has faced have all been top 7 offenses this year by offensive DVOA, which is a measure of efficiency. Right? The Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys have been really good. Dak Prescott has been fantastic this year. And I forget what the third team they faced that was really good this year. Oh, the Rams. The Rams have been awesome offensively with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, Matt Stafford throwing, Kyron Williams running. So with all that, the Eagles still have only given up an expectation of less than 20 points per game against amazing offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Now they face Bo Nix and the Broncos.
Yeah.
And the Broncos are a top 3-5 defense at worst. And the Eagles have struggled offensively. So take the under 43.5 there.
Like that advice. Sounds solid.
You mentioned the Vikings, and then I said take the under in the Vikings, and I said take the under here in this game. So that's how the tangent went. No IndyCar stuff this week.
It's just so annoying. Not annoying, but like I hate betting unders because I'm rooting for I don't like low scoring games, Yeah.
I do. I love low scoring games. Give me the ugliest bullshit ever. If I have the under, give it to me.
A low scoring football game is the same thing as a Pocono race in a lot of people's minds. So that checks out.
You make a great point. I love Pocono.
All right. DraftKings.
I'll tell you what. The worst race of the season, in my opinion, of the 36 is the Charlotte ROVAL.
Really?
I don't think it's entertaining at all.
I'm kind of no opinion on it. Like it is what it is for me. It's not my favorite road course by any means.
Right.
I'll always be a Sonoma Watkins Glen guy. But
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Loved, dude. Old school Sonoma Watkins Glen was amazing. With the old cars and
yeah. All right. DraftKings here. Last week, let me see. I ended up with 134.8. You ended up with 178.9. Neither of us cashed. I don't have the updated season totals right in front of me because I've been slacking on that. But let's see here. DraftKings, share this. All right. So the question is, as always, at every road course this year, is whether you want to go SVG or not with it. Because he is such a higher salary than everybody else. He's at 12.5 this weekend. I am going to go SVG, and I'm going to hit Allmendinger because I think he's underpriced there at 9,000. Let me see here. As far as low dollar guys, this is just, it's tough. I've turned into hating road course DFS lately. Give me, like I said, I think Bubba Wallace is pretty good here. So underpriced at 6,700 to me is Bubba Wallace. So I'll take Bubba. Give me Logano at 75. Like I said, I think he's been pretty good here in the past. You mentioned Custer. See, I don't like any of these guys down here,
I know.
Let me see. If I go Austin Dillon here, can get me up to 89. You know what? I'm going to go with your boy Custer, and I'm going to go Chris Buescher. Or do I want to go Gibbs? How's John Hunter Nemechek on road courses?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Right? Like it's 15th at Chicago Street Course, 6th at Mexico City. Other than that, he's garbage. Man, this is not fun.
No, it's not.
I think I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Custer Buescher here. So I'm gonna go SVG, Allmendinger, Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Logano, and Cole Custer. Final answer.
Can't argue that. I have some similarities. You had Buescher and Allmendinger. Give me those two.
Yeah, I'm surprised Allmendinger's only 9K this week.
Yeah. Did you say you had Bubba Wallace?
I did, yep.
Give me Bubba Wallace. This is where it gets different. Give me Ty Gibbs.
I'm guessing you probably didn't go SVG here.
Give me Michael McDowell.
And Briscoe.
Chase Briscoe.
Yep. Yeah, this will be fascinating on how these score. I think this might be the first time this year that I've actually made a SVG lineup because I'm always on the opposite side. Like he's such an obvious pick at road courses this year.
Yeah.
That I'm, because I think it was the last road course race. He was like 55-60% owned.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, you know how you and I both play DFS. Like, give me the other side of that and let me see him blow a tire on lap 5, or like the one year that Allmendinger, I think he started dead last. And obviously this is a great track for him, but he blew an engine, and he was so high owned. Like,
hold up.
What?
You can take down McDowell and Briscoe. Just looking. Take down McDowell and Briscoe.
Oops, that was Allmendinger.
Put in SVG. What can you get to? Oh, you can get
Josh Bilicki.
Why is Catherine Legg not in this race?
Bilicki's not bad though. He's not a bad racer.
Not bad. He's a good road course racer. Honestly, he's a good road course racer. He's just in a complete ass car.
You know, that is a very good way to compare it though. Like if you're determining whether to go, and that's where you have to run like where you think these guys are going to end up, you know, does it make more sense to go SVG and Bilicki, even though at top of your head, it's like Briscoe and McDowell could both be top 10, but depending on where they start, the SVG Bilicki could be the better option in that exact scenario.
Yeah, it really could be. I'm going to stick with Briscoe McDowell because Briscoe, I think, has been the second best road course racer this year. And McDowell's going to be on the optimal strategy.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking with that, but I wanted to at least see what could happen if I took SVG.
Right. Yeah. I kind of want to go with the SVG Bilicki lineup just to see which one does better.
Throw them both in the $3.
Yeah, I probably will. I need to get those in there. But all right. You got anything else this week?
No.
All right.
I'm sportsed out for today. I'll be back sports tomorrow when we get to the 49ers game where they're completely decimated in players.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're already, God, it's already almost Thursday. Oh, these weeks fly by.
Yep.
But Charlotte ROVAL this weekend wraps up the round of 12. We start the round of 8 next week in Las Vegas with a Sunday night race starting at 5:30 on Eastern time. And then Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix.
Yep.
We're down to the last 5 races of the year. Can't believe it. So, all right. If you don't got anything else, I don't got anything else. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Good luck, everyone.